The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
The crowd here at the Glen on their feet, white flag in the air. Chase Elliott looking to go to victory lane for the very first time.
Final time into turn number one, and he's got the mark, and he threw it off the track. He went wide in turn number one. A critical mistake for Elliott, and here comes Truex from 7 car lengths back. He is right on his back bumper. Here comes Chase Elliott, 8 times a bridesmaid, trying to hang on. He pulls away just a bit of the exit of turn 4.
Martin Truex Jr. continues to chase after the race leader, but Chase Elliott has the advantage. 2 car lengths to the good for the final time this afternoon. Working through the inner loop, down to second gear. Truex closing in. Elliott swings back through turn 5. Truex still trying. Chase Elliott trying to close the deal at the Glen.
Chase Elliott, the race leader, but only by about a car length and a half. Here comes Martin Truex Jr. off of turn number 5. Looks to drivers right now. Truex is off the pace on the straightaway into turn 6. It is Chase Elliott all by himself at the front of the field in turn 7 for the final time.
All this time we've been wondering when would it happen. It's going to happen today at Watkins Glen. In his 99th start, Chase Elliott is going to victory lane, scoring win 250 for Hendrick Motorsports. Chase Elliott wins the Go Bowling at the Glen.
And that is how it sounded Sunday at Watkins Glen as Chase Elliott takes his first, trying to hit the right button here, takes his first win in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Welcome to episode 72 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Monday, August 6, 2018. I'm your host, Eric Young. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, the MRN call right there. Thanks to them for the audio. What a race, right?
What a finish. Finally got it done.
Finally got it done.
Like Moody said, no, always the bridesmaid. No more. No more the bridesmaid. Finally got it.
I was just waiting for the mistake to happen. I was waiting for Truex to just get that little bit of extra. It was looking those last 5 laps like Truex really didn't have anything for him. And then Chase slipped up in turn 1, and it's like, you got to be kidding me. Don't throw it away there.
Yeah, it's bad when you start to think, how is he going to choke this one away? Because it's happened. It happens a lot.
Yeah. Now that's out of the way, though. Now we can stop with the choking. We can stop with those last lap mistakes and get some wins under his belt. So Chase Elliott gets the win.
Exciting.
As we said, outdueled defending champ Martin Truex Jr. Truex ran out of gas coming to the checkered flag pretty much. But I mean, you got to credit Chase for that because Chase ran him out of gas.
Ran him hard.
Yeah, Chase could have lifted a little bit. Truex could have had what he needed to make that move in the last lap. So Chase gets his win in his 99th attempt, which that's the same race that Kyle Larson won his first race at Michigan a few years ago. His 8th. He had 8 second place finishes before he got his first win, which is the same thing happened with his dad, Bill Elliott. Bill Elliott also won his first race on a road course. As they said in the MRN broadcast there, 250th win for Hendrick. Of course, they won the 249th last year at the Brickyard 400 with Casey Kane, and probably didn't think they were going to have to wait this long to celebrate for that 250th.
Over a year, yeah.
But Hendrick's back on top. Chevy's back on top. It's Chevy's first win since the Daytona 500. I don't know what else to say, man. It was, and I don't know what you thought, James. I don't know how much you got to watch, but I thought the whole race was an excellent race, and it was good to see a road course race be good again because the last couple have been kind of snoozers, in my opinion.
Yeah, Chase was kind of on one from the get-go.
Yeah.
I watched him. He was battling Kyle Busch for that stage 2.
Yeah.
Towards the end of stage 2, maybe it was like 10 laps to go on stage 2, but he went toe-to-toe with the best of them. And,
yep.
He kind of lined up the big 3 and knocked them all out one at a time.
Yeah, you mentioned Kyle Busch. Kyle had probably the strongest car in the day. Chase was close.
Best drive, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Holy smoke. That drive from 31st he put on, as he said, Put on a clinic.
Right?
Can't
Yeah.
disagree with the man.
That's
when you do that.
The thing people don't like about Kyle is he is not humble at all.
Yeah, well, you know what it reminded me of when he was coming through the field. I'm like, oh my God, he's playing NASCAR Thunder on easy mode.
Right.
He's charging through the Watkins Glen field. I mean, how often have we done that on the
No kidding.
on the Xbox?
So yeah, the last pit stop, Kyle has fuel pickup issues. Fueling issues. Has to come back in, fill the tank, puts him back. You said 31st, and he's able to battle back and get a third place finish with no caution. That's the biggest thing. No caution. And I mean, there was a caution, he probably would have won that race.
He's on a mission right now.
I mean, it does help that you're racing a bunch of people who are trying to manage fuel.
Right.
But still, I mean, come on. That was awesome.
I know. Heck of a ride. Yeah, I know. It's, he's, this is kind of the Chase Elliott show today, but just, Kyle.
Well, it was the Chase Elliott show.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that shortly. Yeah. But, and Chase deserves all the accolades, because I tweeted out after the race, we could have had another Big 3 winner, but I tweeted out this was an important win for NASCAR, probably the most important win in a few years, I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a win that's as important for a single driver.
This was on the level of Dale Jr. winning again. I mean,
yeah, or Jeff Gordon winning at Martinsville came to mind for me. Tony Stewart's last win, because it had been such a rough stretch before he got his win. So I thought of Brian Vickers too a few years ago. Chase hasn't gone through adversity really, other than he's choked a few.
Right.
But to get off to finally get off the starting block, now he's got the tally. He's got one, and hopefully, you can tell by the fans' reaction that this guy actually does mean something. I wasn't sure, and he does. He's kind of that guy now, and if he can start clicking him off, it's going to be important.
It was Dale Jr. at Talladega-esque when Chase took the lead, and when he crossed the line and for that checkered flag. I mean, it was.
Yeah, it totally. I mean, I'll admit I was wrong. The fans, they migrate to this guy.
Yeah.
And we need him.
Well, I think he's got that same thing that Junior has, in that he's got the link to the past. I mean, the photo circulated of him sitting Dale Sr.'s lap, after the race.
All that stuff.
I mean, the people who are, historically connected to the sport, the people that have followed the sport for years, they know who Bill Elliott is. I mean, heck, Bill Elliott's still racing, I guess. He's going to run in the Xfinity car. So, I mean, he's still known in the sport. And now you got a young kid coming up. He's coming in at the perfect time when, the most popular driver just left the sport, or left driving at least. Yep. And so that spot's open for the taking, and those fans need somewhere to go. He's got that, that personality. Maybe he's not quite to the, the level of a Dale Jr., especially the newly Dale Jr. Twitter troll and that sort of thing. But people are drawn to him, and that's NASCAR needs that driver winning races.
Yeah, we talked last week about NASCAR doesn't have that Tiger Woods, Dale Earnhardt figure.
Right.
And if Chase can start, I don't think it's going to be this season, but if he can start ripping them off, we saw a little bit of a glimpse of what it could be.
Yep.
And I don't think he may not win again this year. And that's not on him. I think that might be the equipment that he's in. But I mean, he has won a stage, I think, in the last 3 races now. Plus, he's got this race win, so he's actually making some grounds here. So maybe.
Yeah, and I would say winning at Watkins Glen says a lot more for where the equipment is than like winning at Sears Point, because Watkins Glen is an aero track. It has some similarities to, a regular racetrack like what we race on every week. So that. Performing well at Watkins Glen shows that you can probably perform well elsewhere.
Yes.
So
and he has.
Yeah. I mean,
well.
He's been the top performing Hendrick car.
Yeah.
So I mean.
Yeah, he's up to now. That was his 6th top 5 and 11th top 10, but in the last 3 races, he's got a 5th, a 7th, and a 1st now. So.
Right.
He's obviously heading in the right direction. He's clicking off some momentum. He's leading laps every week. Overall, he's just been consistent, doing a good job, and we would have thought this would have come earlier before, his 100th start, and he did. He got one. But with the hype that he came into the sport with, and he's had all of the success coming in. He's done it all so far.
I mean, people are giving that title to Larson and saying Larson is this, this new coming of just this, he's a Hall of Fame. Larson's got what, 3 wins right now?
I think he's got
5.
Five.
But still, I mean, he's not even in double digits yet. And here's Chase Elliott coming in and winning at the exact same time as Larson.
Yeah.
So Chase, you can't put Chase down at all if everybody thinks Larson's going to be this. And right. I'm not bashing that. I think Larson's spectacular.
Exact same trajectory.
Yeah.
99th win. So.
Exactly.
And you have to wonder too. Let's just play the what if game for just a second. If Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson were both driving in, like, for Gibbs, for example,
right,
it could be completely different.
Yeah, exactly.
And Chase is in the right spot with Hendrick, but it's just he came to Hendrick at the wrong time.
Right.
And Larson, he's making it work with Ganassi, and he probably outperforms the equipment he's in, to be honest with you. So
right,
it's just one of those things where, the driver means something, and at Watkins Glen, definitely, it takes driving talent. You see what Kyle Busch did, and you got Truex up there. Obviously he's the defending champ, and Chase Elliott, went toe to toe with those guys and got the win. So shows you where he is as a driver, and this was a long time coming. It's great, man. I think it's fantastic.
I do too. It just adds to that mix of what, I mean, honestly, I talked last week and I went on a little bit of a rant last week about how I feel like this is the best era in NASCAR right now. And I don't know, man, this season, and maybe it's because I'm more involved in it than I've been before, but like, what more could you want right now? You've got 3 guys dominating, but battling for the top spot. You've had 2 first-time winners now this season in the last few weeks. We've had spectacular races, starting with Chicagoland. They've been excellent, other than Kentucky.
You go back, even Sonoma was probably pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought Sonoma was good. The last stinker we've had was Michigan. That's only because it was a rainout. It was still a good race.
Right, yeah, I thought that was a good race. I mean, I watched it from the infield. It was just a rainout. But so I mean, I don't see how you could complain about what you're getting this season. We've had wrecks, we've had craziness, we've had good races, we've had those runaways for the fans like that. I mean, there's been everything this year, and it's great.
Yeah, and I don't want to. I listen to, and I know you do as well, but we both listen to Jeff Gluck,
right.
And we read a lot of Jeff Gluck, and a lot of the writers are probably saying the same thing, but they're always talking about the big 3 this and the big 3 that, and boo-hoo, the big 3. I think having a big 3 makes a day like we had yesterday that much more special.
Definitely.
He has to go through guys that are on, they're all 3 guys having career years, 3 champions, and you have a first-time winner break through the guy who's coming up the ranks still. And it just, I mean, you got to have a Goliath to have a David, and we've got 3. Got 3. So we got. Maybe Chase Elliott is the guy. Maybe if he gets on a little bit of a run, he goes on a Tony Stewart type run in the playoffs or something. Hey, we got ourselves one heck of a show already. But if we can get that, that's even better.
Yeah, and if you look at, you look at how that race turned out yesterday, it just goes to show you how difficult it is to win in this sport, because we're talking about the big 3, these guys that have been dominating, these guys that can do no wrong. Harvick was pretty much nowhere. I mean, he finished 9th. Yeah, or 10th.
Weird day
10th.
for him. Yeah, weird day for him.
So he wasn't really much of the talk. But Kyle Busch had the fastest car. They had the issue on the pit stop. That just shows you that things like that can happen. Truex was excellent, one of the best cars as well. Runs out of gas in the last lap. Can't quite beat Chase. I mean, that just goes to show you that even the best, have mistakes that happen, and it shows you what all has to come together to get the win. And you hear these drivers say, and you get drivers like Jimmy Johnson that come in and just click one off every other week, and it makes it seem like it's easy. But Jimmy's proven right now it's not either. And so it's really easy to sit there and see people become dominant and go, those guys, it's just simple for them. But it's not easy for any of these guys. William Byron will tell you, it's not easy.
No,
so
absolutely not. And if you look at the top 10 in this race, you've got a little bit of the youth movement making a play here with a track that driving talent really comes into play. And all these guys are, you think Daniel Suarez he needs a win bad, and he's running really well right now. Jones, he doesn't need a win, but you've got him in the top 5 as well. So you've got and you mentioned Byron. So these guys that are we know these guys are super talented. Suarez is he's an Xfinity champion, and Jones, his resume speaks for itself. But it's just we've got a nice diverse skill set here. But yeah, you're right. It's hard. It's hard to break through, and the one guy's going to, even when you've got a lot of guys climbing that ladder, but it's just one every week.
Right. Couple other things in the race. AJ Allmendinger, big favorite going into the race for some reason. Because I'll tell you what, AJ just, man.
You want me to give you my AJ take?
And I love AJ, and I really want AJ to be successful. I was cheering for AJ before he had his issues, but he just can't.
I think it might be time.
He's just got too much pressure. He cannot handle the pressure.
It's the pressure of the road course race.
Yeah. I mean,
I agree with you 100%.
And the worst thing is not only did he do it on Sunday when it mattered, but he did it on Saturday too.
Oh, and Sonoma was the worst example of that. It's the missing a shift and blowing your engine.
Right.
It's just so strange because he's already broken through. He's got the win.
Right.
We know he's good.
Another example of how hard it is to win in this sport.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I don't know. I feel like their cars are good enough to win a road course race. I don't know what's going on with AJ, but I mean, he's done now. I mean, we can cross him off the list for the season.
Yeah, it'd be pretty tough to see him get one.
It's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, he can go in and win at Charlotte, but it's too late for the playoffs.
He wants it bad.
Right.
It's just I think he's regressed from he's done it. That's what doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
He's good enough. He's done it, and he just needs to. I think Marcos Ambrose, before he kind of broke through at Watkins Glen a couple of times, he had some of this going on too. He had the same thing happen at Sonoma. Remember when he ran out of gas? Or no, he shut
shutting the motor off and couldn't get it restarted.
Couldn't keep up with the caution speed and got docked positions. It's just weird stuff like that happens when you got guys who know they have that shot, and it just doesn't happen for them.
Right. Joey Logano involved in that whole mess too. Ends up finishing last. Team not quite understanding how the damaged vehicle policy worked in that instance. Broke the oil cooler. They went to the garage, but because it was because of contact on the track, they were put on the caution clock, or on the clock, the repair clock. And when you're on the clock, you can't go behind the wall.
I'm gonna let you get on your soapbox on this one, Eric, because I know you don't like this one.
I don't really have much to say. I just don't like the damaged vehicle policy. I think
Neither do I.
I guess the only thing that you could argue, it has gotten rid of debris cautions.
Right. Yep.
Because we really haven't had a lot of those. Although I saw debris sitting in the inner loop on Sunday that they ignored for the last 2 laps, which I was okay with. I didn't want a caution at the end.
Yeah. No, you don't want one there. No.
But they ignored debris on the track, so it's not completely
for Kyle
eliminating
Busch,
debris.
you're screaming for
right.
that. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's a rule that is just a waste of time. I think we've had drivers eliminated too much because of it, and I don't know. I think you should be able to fix the car and get out there. I mean, it's no good to go watch Joey limp around, and did it really change his day much? No. He got to go home early, basically.
He's in the playoffs. He's had a really good year. It's just one race for him.
I don't think that we'll ever see the damaged vehicle policy go away, because the drivers love it. I guarantee you the drivers love it, because the last thing you want to do is go out and drive around in a torn-up race car.
Right.
So you don't want them to sit there and repair it and go out 30 laps down. So you're good with that.
Yeah, it's too bad we'll never see Dale Jr. driving, Kyle Busch's car again, or what,
right.
One of those situations. But that's okay.
Exactly. So
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't have too much of a rant to go on. I hate the policy, but I don't hate it enough to. I guess we could have done that as a do we care topic.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't care enough to get fired up about it, but I do hate that policy.
Yeah, it stinks.
So the Xfinity cars. First of all, anything else for the Cup race we need to talk about? We kind of hit on everything.
Yeah, we kind of went through the guys who finished well and who didn't finish well.
Spencer Gallagher finishes 35th in his first Cup race.
Yep.
That's
probably
all.
right where. Yep. Johnson, probably was hoping for a better result on the day.
Well, between a rearview mirror and an AJ Allmendinger that was in a hurry.
Yeah, right.
Jimmy had issues.
Parker Kligerman, most guys don't, you say 24th, it doesn't matter, but Parker, That's a good run.
I like
for
seeing
that car.
Parker get success anywhere.
Yep,
I
I
like
like when
Parker.
Parker runs good. Brad Keselowski was non-existent,
Yeah.
which was weird. That 2-car just doesn't have it this year. They're missing something. They're good enough to be in the playoffs, but they're just missing something.
Yep. Yeah,
I
I
don't know what-
agree. He was right there Saturday in the Xfinity race and
Yeah, he's
spun out coming into turn 1 trying to pass
Yeah.
Logano.
he's really good at Watkins Glen, and he just
Yeah.
wasn't a factor at all
Yeah.
all day. Yeah, which is weird, but
So yeah, Saturday the Xfinity cars got to do their deal. Joey Logano takes home the win. We mentioned AJ Allmendinger messed up there as well. He slid through his pit stop, or through his pit stall, ended up getting penalized a lap, almost screwed up the penalty as well, and then still managed to come up for a third place finish. So that was pretty impressive. Although if you watch the NBC broadcast, you have no clue that he finished third, because let me say, I love the radio style broadcast. They call it the Around the Horn broadcast. I learned from Dale Jr. on his podcast. But the one downfall was they were focusing on one spot on the track for the entire lap. And so you didn't get a lot of commentary on these guys coming through the field. You had AJ do it on Saturday. Kyle got more coverage because it's Kyle Busch, but still to get where he got, I said AJ finished third. He finished second
second, yep.
in the Xfinity race. So, and barely any mention of him at the end. So, but yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the rain in a minute. But we did have some rain in the Xfinity race on Saturday too. A race that had like 0 rain in the forecast. We got to put the rain tires on again. So we'll talk about that after we talk about the big news of the day. But NBC did their broadcast. They also had some new camera angles. I thought the camera angles were great as well. They had a camera positioned on the guardrail going into the inner loop, which was spectacular when they used it. Pretty much felt like you had to duck out of your way of your TV every time they came through. And the cable cam up the S's was pretty awesome too. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that did look good.
What'd you think
Yeah.
of NBC?
I agree with you on the camera shots. I'm starting to worry about Dale Jr. as a broadcaster.
I
Just a little bit.
I started watching the race live, and the first commercial break, I had Twitter going, and I look over and I see Dale Jr. tweet, "I know I'm yelling, I can't stop."
No,
it was pretty
and that's
good.
the thing that's really good about Junior is he's really exciting,
Uh-huh.
and I'm all for it. I agree.
He's not a play-by-play guy. He shouldn't have been
No,
doing
but
play-by-play.
well, that's my point. Don't let him talk too much.
Yeah.
Not yet. He's not seasoned enough. That's my opinion. I
You-
know people might not agree with me, but that's okay.
It kind of felt like they said, here's a tape of MRN doing the broadcast. Listen to this and do this. And Junior felt like he needed to fill the space with words, but
Yeah.
wasn't saying anything.
Yeah, he gets really excited, and that's good. But you need to be excited in short bursts.
Yeah.
When you're excited and you're talking on and on and on, it starts to turn into a little bit of a jumbled mess.
I did notice that they put him in the shortest section of the track, so he didn't have as much time to talk. Bagley had the longest, which Bagley's great.
Well, Bagley's the GOAT.
Yeah.
He's-
So, I mean, he's not the GOAT. I like Dave.
Well-
Dave Moody's the best, man. I love Dave Moody.
Bagley and Moody are synonymous with each other. I think they can share it.
Which ironic that they were calling the same portion of the track this weekend, by the way.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
But so Junior was in the smallest spot, but he talked the most and really hurt Jeff Burton, who hardly got to talk at all.
Yeah,
and
he
I thought
was
Burton
cut
did a
down,
pretty
yeah.
decent job.
Yeah. I
So-
know. You know what though? What's funny is you put me out in that corner, and it would just be
Oh yeah,
the biggest mess you've ever heard over the airwaves.
I've tried to do that. I've taken videos and tried to do the MRN style broadcast. It's hard
Yeah.
to do.
And
really
Dale
hard
is
to do.
doing a pretty good. I should say he is doing a pretty good job. I mean, it's
Yeah.
his first year on.
He did a
he's
really good job in a spot that I guarantee you he was not at all comfortable.
Yeah, he's just not refined at it, and that's
Yeah.
okay. And that's okay. We don't need perfection in the booth all the time.
I would really like to hear Rick Allen do an MRN broadcast because I thought he was really good in this format versus him getting a little repetitive in the normal format to me.
And where's Alan Bestwick? Can we make a phone call?
Oh man, he'd be perfect
He's
for
out
something
there.
like this.
He's out there. He's just out there. He's whatever he's doing now. He's just hanging out.
The only thing that was better than Alan Bestwick on ESPN or NBC was Alan Bestwick on MRN.
Well, I think Alan Bestwick can't take a job yet. I think he's still technically under contract,
Is
so
that
that
what it
might
is?
be.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's just sitting there, and he's the best. He's probably the best in the business when he's going. But anyway,
All right.
I digress.
Well, speaking of people having trouble getting a job, or keeping one. Here we go.
He's still keeping it. But I can't believe how long we've been going now? 20 minutes?
Yeah, something like that. So here's the deal.
There it is.
Let me just say, I hadn't written anything down yet, but in my head, I'm preparing to come on this podcast and say, how can you not be excited? Everybody should be watching the sport. It's the greatest time in NASCAR right now. Everybody needs to be doing this. I was going to write a piece for the website to second what I was saying last week about how this is the best era and how could you be disappointed with this season? How could anybody say anything negative about this season?
I'm cringing right now.
And then this morning, gut punch, as James texts me.
It was a good text.
And lets me know I should go on Twitter without so much saying that.
Yeah, we're good at that.
And I find out that Brian France is in the news. And let me just go into it. We're going to be careful with how we say things. Obviously, this is all alleged, but basically 2 hours, essentially, the way the timeline works, about 2 hours after the most popular driver in NASCAR wins his first Cup race, NASCAR CEO and Chairman Brian France is arrested in the Hamptons, charged with aggravated driving while intoxicated and criminal possession of a controlled substance, according to a Sag Harbor Village Police Department news release. NASCAR announces today first of all, they issued a statement earlier today saying that they were gathering information and essentially they wouldn't comment until they had the information. Everybody talking on Twitter that they have to say something today. You can't let this go a day without saying something. And so at 4:59 is when the email came through. NASCAR issues a statement. And actually, rather than read it off my notes, let me pull up the statement here if I can get my computer to work properly. Oh, see how this works when you need it to work on time?
Well, I should say, I think NASCAR, before you read the statement, I think NASCAR did a pretty decent job of kind of weathering. This is a big deal.
Yes.
And for its part, NASCAR did handle it. I think the best they could. They said, "Hang on, guys. We're looking into it," and they got it out today.
Yep.
Less than 24 hours after the arrest. So.
I wasn't criticizing the 459.
No, that's fine. No.
They needed to have something out today. That was my big thing.
And I'm not. Yeah, I don't want to imply that you were. I'm just saying, as filler for the podcast, as you get your notes pulled up, I think they did a good.
So here's the statement from Brian France. This is issued through NASCAR. I apologize to our fans, our industry, and my family for the impact of my actions last night. Effective immediately, I will be taking an indefinite leave of absence from my position to focus on my personal affairs. NASCAR issues a statement. Brian France has taken an indefinite leave of absence from NASCAR as Chairman and Chief Executive Officer. Effective immediately, NASCAR Vice Chairman and Executive Vice President Jim France has assumed the role of Interim Chairman and Chief Executive Officer. So there's where we're at. So Jim France has served as the Vice Chairman of the Board of Directors and as Executive Vice President of NASCAR, previously the CEO of International Speedway Corporation. So, obviously, it's still France family up there. There's been, we talked last week about Brian France and our thoughts on him in the sport.
Very topical we are.
Yeah,
good.
More topical than we knew.
Yeah.
So, and I guess what frustrated me today is, first of all, we were riding this wave of just good news, and now we're all over the world media with this.
Yep.
Not just the national media, the world media. And so
a laughing stock.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And then I have a column on my tweet deck that's the hashtag NASCAR. And anytime NASCAR comes up, it pulls into this feed. And, of course, then the comments started going, how can you get arrested or you're going to get suspended for doing what the sport was founded on? And it's like, okay, the sport was not founded on drinking and driving. It was moonshine running, and it's completely different. Yes, it was breaking the law back then too, but it's just
not the same thing.
When people want to call us the redneck sport, and then something like this happens, it's just such a black eye. And first of all, there's no way that they could have done this without Brian France being out regardless of whether it's permanently or indefinitely or whatever. They had to do something, because you can't, as a sport, put your participants and both the drivers and the crews through these rigorous tests and drug testing, and which I would love to see. I guess the question has to be raised: are the NASCAR officials and everybody drug tested as well, like the team?
Yeah, they should be.
They should be. But you can't hold your competitors to that standard and not uphold it yourself. And so when you're the leader of the sport and you get caught for something that you would be punishing a driver for, then that's
If you're getting behind the wheel under the influence of something,
right,
no matter if it's on a racetrack or if it's on the street, it's just as dangerous either way.
Right.
It's the same level of danger. You're putting somebody else's life in danger, no matter what.
We're a driving sport. You should be driving correctly.
Correct.
You know, and I say that when, Kurt Busch had his issues, off the track. Kyle Busch was in trouble for driving way too freaking fast.
Yep.
Michael Waltrip had a, barrel rolling accident in his car.
And mysteriously disappeared from the scene.
Right, exactly.
Which was if you have not heard that story, go give that one a Google. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just, and I guess let's be clear. He was charged with DWI. He was not charged with having taken any illegal drugs.
Yep.
He was just in possession of them.
Yep. We're here to state the facts.
Again, allegedly in possession of them. So
there's a mug shot.
Yeah.
We have photo evidence of a mug shot.
Yes.
And he looks like he has spent the night in jail. Which is it's just such a bummer though, Eric. You're right, man. Gosh dang it.
It's just, there's so much stuff we could say, but it was just so, and I messaged you before, or toward the end of the day, as I was getting ready to work on show notes, and it's like, I don't even know what to do now. Like, I had everything thought out about what to do.
And you have to address it. That's the problem.
Right. We can't just
That's
ignore it.
That's the problem we're all having.
I mean, you can just ignore it. NASCAR.com has. I don't know if you've been on there. They've announced that there is a new CEO and that Brian France is not the CEO anymore, but there is no mention of why on NASCAR.com.
Yep.
And Nick Bromberg tweeted out today that that's a reason why that we need the independent NASCAR media, and he's right. It's the same thing as the media in general. That's why you need an independent media, because you're not getting the full story from the horse's mouth.
Right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a gut punch, and I can see, I can maybe I understand a little bit more the people that have been frustrated with the actions of Brian France. And again, I don't want to pin every bad thing that's happened in NASCAR and every bad decision that's happened in NASCAR and Brian France. But those people that feel like there's constant blunders along the way, I guess I can understand a little bit more how you can just go, you know what? I'm just going to do something else.
And that's what I said. And you and I talked about last week, and I think that's exactly what I said. He just doesn't get it. No. And something seems like it's just not there for him. And, maybe we do have a little more clarity, and we'll find out.
Right.
It's got to go through the whole process and all that, everything. But, I mean, it's just the sport finally has a peak day. You can call it like a peak day. Where Chase Elliott's getting off an airplane and they're ringing the bell in Dawsonville and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, man, this feels a little bit old. This feels like, I don't know, I got the feels again. This is good. And this morning I checked Twitter and text you, and it's like, well, what do we do? Like, exactly like you said, what do we do with this? It's a bummer, and it would be a bummer if it was a driver, but when you're leadership, you're supposed to be the rock, right? He's supposed to be the steady hand, and I feel like other sports have a steady hand. In the NFL, if you want to do a comparison, I feel like the NFL doesn't have a steady hand,
right?
And you look at some of the things that are going on with the NFL, and it seems like they just can't get their stuff together. And I hate to say that NASCAR feels like that today, but man, we just had such a great day, and now it's like, we don't have our stuff together still. We're still struggling with some things.
Yep.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, it's just, and bummer for Chase Elliott, who gets his first win, should be dominating the NASCAR news cycle. And I'm looking at Twitter. I mean, I don't see a Chase Elliott tweet here. I've got a bunch of Brian France tweets, but nothing.
And that's
nothing Chase Elliott. So
yeah, and that's the media, and that's Twitter doing. That's that. They're doing their job. You have to. You have to put Chase Elliott aside. And as much as I hate to say that, I mean, we talked before the podcast tonight, and we said, yeah, we want to highlight Chase Elliott because we love this sport, and we want to share that passion.
Yeah, there was a little debate, but not much of one between James and I before we went on that which story is the lead story for us. Is it the Brian France story, or is it the Chase Elliott story? And I honestly think the lead story is the Brian France story.
It is,
but we wanted to do the Chase Elliott stuff first. That was much more deserving of the lead of the show. For those people that are just going to tune in for a little bit, you don't need to hear this crap. You're going to hear enough of this Brian France stuff. And we're going to wrap it up here pretty quick because
let's I mean, we can move on. We'll probably this is not ending, and we're going to have to probably address it again. Yeah, there'll be more.
I hope that in the end this is a good thing for NASCAR. I think it could potentially be. And I wish nothing bad on Brian France. I hope that he gets the help that he needs if that's something that he needs. I hope he finds something other to do than NASCAR, I guess.
Or retire. He's probably got enough money.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to ask you really quick before we move on, and I want to move on too.
Yeah.
I feel like people in the industry weren't shocked by any of this. When I was reading Twitter, it was just like, yeah, here's what happened, guys. It's kind of shocking, but
right.
Did you get that same feeling today too when you were seeing all the tweets?
I did get a similar feeling. It did not seem like a holy crap, can you believe this? It seemed a lot more like
it's like affirmation,
it's out there now.
Yeah, I saw one of the first tweets I saw was because Kyle Larson liked it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, what's going on there? And it was like, I just kind of feel like, yeah, this is something that I feel like the industry is, they've had their eye on him, and I know he's got they've got kind of a love-hate relationship between, Brian and the guys who are in the garage every week. So,
well, here's another one that I'll share with you on that point. NASCAR man _RR.
I know this guy, yeah.
From Racing Reference. Which we know Racing Reference very well. We use it a lot on our podcast, and anybody in the NASCAR media uses it a ton too.
I got it pulled up on my screen right now.
Yeah, so he retweets, or he tweeted out today this Jerry Mayfield quote from.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, July 16th, 2009. Jerry Mayfield on Sirius XM's Late Shift with Nate Ryan and Buddy Baker. He says, Brian France out there talking about effective drug policy. It's kind of like Al Capone talking about effective law enforcement. And that's the way I feel about it. The pot shouldn't be calling the kettle black. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think the world needs to hear that too. That was Jeremy Mayfield's quote.
Wow.
So
that's good. I did not see that.
Yes. So
I wonder how he's feeling today.
Yeah. So I'll leave that there without any additional comment, but there you go. So,
wow, that was almost 10 years ago.
Yes. So with that, let's move back to Watkins Glen and actual racing, and let's hit our Do We Care topic this week, James, which you suggested before we started doing the show. As we mentioned, the NASCAR Xfinity Series got to race in the rain on Saturday. It was a short rain stint, as the rain lasted for 15 minutes, wet the track down. They put the rain tires on, ran the end of the stage, and then it was already time to take them off. So first of all, do we care that we ran in the rain? Do we care about rain racing, rain tires, any of that stuff? Do we care, James?
Well, I'm going to say going into the race, I would have said no, but it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm in. I want to see, and I feel like we're never going to get to see the Cup Series do it, because the only time it doesn't rain on a Cup Series weekend is when we're at a road course.
Right.
So,
part of the problem is you race one of the road course races in the desert.
Right.
So you're not probably going to get rain in Sonoma.
Right.
In the summertime.
Yeah.
So
one of my favorite races, I think it was either it was Road America or Mid Ohio. It was an Xfinity race, but they had the rain tires on, and it was like Alex Tagliani, and he just decided, no, I'm not taking the rain tires off, and the track had spots of water.
Yep.
And he was going through the corners, you could just see chunks flying off the tires, and he was just going for it. which is kind of fun. It's it's just a different look. And I know Larson was tweeting and clamoring to have his team let him practice in the rain on the weekend because he just wanted to try it.
Right.
But it's definitely a cool thing.
How about all those teams that didn't practice in the rain for the Xfinity cars?
Oh, right, yeah.
And then had to race in the rain when they could have had practice.
Yeah, I know.
So I will answer, do I care? Yes, I care very, very, very much. I want to see a rain race in the Cup Series.
Yeah, bad.
I think it's excellent every time it happens in the Xfinity Series. It's one of those things, again, that it happens so rarely that it's exciting when it happens. And, one of my favorite things, I'm a big Supercross fan. I talk about Supercross all the time here on the podcast. And one of the greatest things is once every 2-3 years, there's a mud race when it rains and the track is crap. And it's great because it takes all those guys that are so good at what they do and throws them for a loop into something that they can't prepare for. Yep. And makes them look silly. And I'm okay with the drivers. I'm okay with them all going into turn one and all missing the turn because the track's wet and they don't know how to drive on it.
Yeah, it's why we like Eldora, and
Exactly.
it's why we're looking forward to the Roval, because it's out of the norm and these guys are going to be uncomfortable.
I'm not one of those crazy people that thinks we could ever run a rain race on an oval.
No,
There's
God,
no way you could ever do that, and that would be stupid. But
Yep.
on a road course, there's a place for it. And, they said they're taking rain tires to Charlotte, too, so you never know. We could see one at Charlotte.
Let
for
the Roosters
Roval.
fly,
Can
man.
you imagine the Roval in the rain?
Yeah, with the high banks.
The first time at the Roval in the rain.
The high banks are going to be interesting. If it now you're talking my language. I think I'd like to do that. So yeah.
I'm a big fan of it. I'm so glad. I was so happy when back in the day they tested the rain tires at the Japan race when it rained during practice, and NASCAR brought them to tracks for a while, and then Goodyear stopped bringing them because the technology had changed and all that. And even when they put them back on the Xfinity cars, they still didn't bring them for the Cup Series until a few years. I think the car tomorrow was when they brought the rain tires back for the Cup Series.
There was I saw a video this week of Mark Martin in '98 at Watkins Glen running a practice session. So
they had rain during a practice session, yes.
Yeah, but they've never run them race.
So,
I remember Montreal when the Xfinity Series ran up there.
Yep.
Montreal used to have the rain tires quite a bit because it always seemed like it was bad weather up there too.
I love the added strategy of when do you take the rain tires off. And look at Saturday. Saturday was that. When do you take them off? Is when it's too early. And I don't know. I thought Saturday was a great way to do it because you got some rain, and then it dried up, so it didn't affect the entire race, but it made the middle interesting. Made some changes as far as the players. And if it would have stayed to the end, we would have had some different players up front because there were some guys coming through the field that were really enjoying that rain.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, very cool.
I am on board with the rain racing on the road courses.
So we both agree on a Do We Care? I think that's the first time we both cared.
Yeah,
That's
care a lot.
Yeah, you're probably a little bit more passionate than me, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I like seeing the Roosters go down the front stretch.
Yes, I agree. I like Indy cars in the rain, and I got to see that this year at Detroit. I got to see a little bit of it. So
every once in a while, it's okay.
Yep, it's good stuff.
Okay, people.
Yep. All right, so with that, we move on to Michigan International Speedway this weekend for the Consumers Energy 400. James, I'll be there. I'll be at the track.
You will be there. Yeah, laying just putting everybody to shame with your pedigree.
It could be quite an interesting weekend to be at the track for the first time that NASCAR officials are back at the track after this news broke this weekend. Yeah, and MIS they broke some news in August. There was a lot of talk about the All-Star package and all that stuff. So we'll see. It could be interesting. There's not a press release schedule yet, so I don't know who's doing the press releases on Friday.
You're gonna get Chase Elliott though. You're gonna get to talk to him.
Yeah,
as
Chase,
the previous week's race winner. So that'll be cool.
Yep. So yeah, watch for lots of coverage on the website. Which I haven't mentioned since the intro, superspeedway.com, thesuperspeedway.com. Don't forget the.
Yep.
So check that out. There'll be all kinds of coverage from Michigan this weekend. I'll be posting stories and photos and all that jazz. So still not quite sure what I'm doing as far as photos, but there'll be some up there. Some upcoming podcast stuff that you will be seeing. I'll give you guys a little bit of a teaser. First of all, James, you're taking next week off on me, man.
I am going to miss a week. I made it 72 episodes, but yes, I'm on vacation. I may still call you and get something recorded. I don't know. I feel like
we've managed to make it work every week except for the couple that we've taken off ourselves.
Yeah, during the off season, for God's sakes.
We could have made this work, but James is entitled to some time off, so he's not bailing on me.
Right.
And I am planning on hooking up with Aaron Bearden at the track, and he's going to help me do a post race podcast, probably a little bit shorter version because we won't have the audio and stuff because we'll do it right after the race. But I reached out to Aaron. Aaron, if you don't know, he's working with Jeff Gluck right now on the newsletter for jeffgluck.com, and is up and coming NASCAR media guy as well. Kind of following the path that I'm following, but a few years ahead of me. So he's a good guy. I've talked to him a few times and looking forward to chatting with him on the podcast.
I really feel like after you've talked about this now that this might be my last podcast.
Oh, no.
I feel like
I
I
would
might
never
be done.
do that to you, man.
What am I supposed to do?
I would never do that to you. You'll be back.
It's like I lost my ride and the guy coming up behind me is Kyle Busch. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, but see,
I'm done.
See, Aaron's too
I'm
big.
I'm Bobby Labonte, and he's Kyle Busch.
He'd be too big to do this with me every week anyway, so you got no worries. But either way, James, you're the original, man. You're the OG.
Yeah, the OG. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Also, during the weekend at MIS, I am planning to talk to at the Orange Cone. Hopefully get to meet up with him and do a little interview with him that we'll put up during the week next week as well.
Some heavy hitters now, man.
Yeah, well, I'm putting this all out there, and so far I've had interviews scheduled every weekend of races this year, and none of them have panned out. So this is the hope. If not, who knows? You might just end up with me next week. There will be a podcast next week after MIS, regardless. It could be me and my wife. I could bring the boys on. Aaron might be here. I might make James call in and record something. We'll figure something out, but there'll be a podcast next week. So
yeah, I can always call when I'm driving too, just to heckle you or something.
There you go. So, but one way or the other, we'll have something for you next week. So check that out. So it's Michigan International Speedway. James, I get the first pick this week, and I don't know what I'm doing because I have a hard time right now picking because I really have two guys I want to pick, and it looks like I'm just picking from the front of the barrel, because they're right at the top of the average finish list.
Ah, yes. There's some good ones at the top.
Yeah, I'm going to go with momentum, even though I think it's the mistake because I don't think the Chevys are quite there.
Yeah, but you're going to get a top 5 out of it.
Chase has run really well at Michigan. He's coming off a win. He's got the monkey off his back. So I'm going Chase Elliott for the win this weekend at Michigan.
Never missed a top 10 finish in his 5 career races.
There you go.
So, yeah, he's definitely solid. Oh, man. Me? Oh, man. I don't know. Who am I going to pick?
It's tough.
Yeah, because we can't take the big 3.
No. Larson's not in the big 3, though.
Yep. Larson's out there still.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Larson thing, I feel so bad because it ended in June. It was a good run for him.
Yeah.
No, I won't go with him either. I'll take... I'm going to go for the repeat. I'll take Clint Boyer. To win both. Yep, I'll take Clint Boyer to win both. Yeah.
My second choice, since you didn't pick him, I will say who it was Eric Jones. Just the home track deal, and he's run well there in the past as well.
He's right there, yeah.
And being that he's got the win this year as well, and driving the Toyota, there's a possibility there. But
yeah, he'll be good. I think he'll be good. He'll be definitely probably hovering around the top 5 all day.
I really wanted to take Daniel Suarez, but he was so bad there in June.
Yeah, he's a little bit different now, though.
Yeah. I mean, I've got pictures of him spinning because he did it right in front of me in June. So,
he's another one like Chase Elliott. He's kind of swayed my opinion a little bit. I feel like I was a little bit hard on the guy, and he's really starting to come around as a driver, doing a really good job. But yeah, he's been struggling at Michigan though.
So you got dark horse pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Suarez, he hasn't won. He could be a dark horse pick here still. So
I'm going to go with a little bit of team momentum.
Okay.
I'm going to go William Byron as my dark horse.
That's a good one.
He had a really good run in his first stint, and Michigan seems to be a good place for the young drivers. So William Byron.
I like that. I don't know who to pick.
I'm more confident in my dark horse than I am my favorites anymore.
Yeah. No, I can't go with him. That'd be stupid.
Yeah.
Who am I talking about? That'd be stupid.
You wouldn't be talking about Paul Menard, would you?
Knew it. I knew you'd know.
Yeah, it's just a bait. You just bait me. You just know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Menard runs well at Michigan, but
Well,
Yeah,
quote
exactly.
unquote. Yeah.
Let's go Ryan Newman for the heck of it. I'm
The
picking
Rocket Man.
picking Ryan Newman. I don't think that's a pick worth a damn, but I'm going with it anyway.
What an interesting stat line for him. He's averaged a 16th place finish there. In 34 races, he only has 9 top 10s, which is weird.
It's funny because the two that I was really wavering between were him and Austin Dillon.
Yeah, but Dylan's been kind of junk.
I kind of would have liked to take Ryan Blaney, but he's really been doing nothing lately.
You know what the Penske cars are doing?
Yeah.
Well, Logano's been good. Logano still has been good.
See, Logano is like always my go-to pick for Michigan, but just not this year. Not this time around.
I mean,
so.
I know he's got the Talladega win. He'll be good. He'll finish in the top 10.
Yeah.
But he won't get you past that, I don't think. I had a really funny moment on, was it Friday? It had to be Friday or Saturday. It must have been Saturday before qualifying.
Uh-huh.
I went to change my lineup and put Chase Elliott as my backup A driver behind Kyle Busch.
Uh-huh.
And I totally missed the deadline. And I probably wouldn't have started Chase for Watkins Glen, but he was on my mind. So when he won the race, I was really ticked at myself.
Nice.
So hopefully one of my picks pans out this week. I need to start doing a better job.
So James, I've had a good Twitter day. I've been retweeting a lot. I've been tweeting a lot. And so today, here's what I've gotten on Twitter. I got some likes on Twitter today. My first like today came from Rick Allen when I tweeted out that I liked the NBC coverage this weekend. Yep. Number 2 was courtesy of you. Ryan McGee tweets out his top 10 most important of Hendrick victories, and James gave me a little tweet to bring my attention to it. I suppose we could talk about it on the podcast. I don't know that we'll be here for 100 years if we talk about that though.
Yeah,
and
we would.
So I tweeted back to James that I tagged McGee and mentioned that I can't argue with any of the wins on the list, but I don't know that I agree with the order. Got a like from Ryan McGee on that one.
Boy, I love when Ryan McGee reaches back out.
And then number 3 was a few minutes ago after we got on the air here, and it was old Ty Dillon gives me a like today.
Yeah. TD.
So Ty Dillon's been tweeting about his appearance on American Ninja Warrior tonight, which I think is on right now as we record this. I think it's on at 9:00 on NBC. And so he's tweeting and everybody's talking to him about it and, asking him about it. And so he tweets out, well, a little inside info, I'm going to stick with racing, LOL. so I retweeted that and I mentioned that Ty Dillon's on American Ninja Warrior tonight, guessing it did not go super well. And I get a like from Ty Dillon. So good Twitter day for me.
You've got one like on that tweet and it's him.
Gotta love it.
I'm going to leave it there. I was going to like it. I'm going to leave it go. I'm going to let that one sit.
Perfect. That's great. James, any shout outs? We haven't had any shout outs for a while. I got a couple if you don't have any, but
I've shouted him out before, but Derek Winter, he sang at the Tri-City Motor Speedway. He was the anthem guy a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
I forgot to mention that last week, so I saw that, and him and I were having a good Brian France Twitter back and forth today. And of course Ryan McGee. That's such a good one. I always love when Marty and McGee, and Marty never tweets back at me anymore. He's too big time. But McGee still gives us love once in a while.
There you go.
That's cool.
So I got a couple. First of all, guy by the name of, or this Twitter account, it's Backstretch Banter. He has a podcast, and now as I'm doing this, I'm putting myself on the spot, and I don't remember his name. Where the heck is it? Jordan Hostick is his name. His Twitter account is @BStretchBanter. Ran into him at Eldora Speedway. Forgot to shout him out. Got a chance to chat with him a little bit. He's kind of in the same boat as me, kind of starting out on this whole thing, getting some access to some tracks. Hopefully he will be at Michigan this weekend as well, so hopefully I get a chance to chat with him. Also, Dylan Freeble Photography, Dylan, DYLANFP, or F Photos on Twitter. Also ran into him at Eldora, chatted with him a bit. And then there's a new guy on Twitter, James. I don't know if you heard, but I don't know, old NASCAR racer. I don't know if you know him. Don't know if you've heard of him. Sterling Marlin. You familiar with him?
Sterling Marlin.
Sterling Marlin is on Twitter.
What's he up to?
SMR_114. He tweeted earlier today with a sign showing that it's actually him because people didn't believe it was actually him. So old Sterling's on Twitter now, and he's got a bunch of followers already.
Well,
so.
him and Rick Mass can share stories back and forth now.
There you go. Yeah, Sterling's up to 3,599 followers now, so taking off here. So 3 hours ago, he tweets, "See, it's not fake news. It's really me. Now what's a hashtag?"
I wonder what he's up to.
Well, he just won a late model race, I guess.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
He's still running.
He's doing good, yeah.
There's a couple of those guys that are kind of, synonymous with the 90s and 2000s. Johnny Benson, he's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Sterling, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
I follow, like, Ernie Irvin on Twitter, but he's not on there very often.
I don't know if I follow Swerve and Irvin. I have to check him out and get him on. I started this Twitter account for the show and trying to keep the NASCAR stuff separate, and I started it from zero. And so I've been trying to, every once in a while somebody will tweet and I'll see it and I'm like, wow, how the heck am I not following that person? So any like big NASCAR people stumble across this podcast and go, why is he not following me? It's just because, I don't know, send me a tweet and tell me to follow you. I just haven't clicked the button yet. So, yeah, I saw too, speaking of drivers still racing, Bill Elliott was on Sirius the other day or last night, I think, after Watkins Glen, or maybe it was before Watkins Glen. He's still racing too. He was doing the Xfinity race yet this year, and then he's also been running sports cars and stuff too, and plans.
Yeah, he's been racing with Evernham. I think him and Evernham are both running those sports car type deals.
There you go. So
that's pretty cool. I'm actually pretty excited to see old Awesome Bill from Dawsonville hit the track again. Why not?
I want to see him and Chase race together. That's what we need.
Yes, we do. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
Probably not, but it'd be cool.
Okay.
It'd be good. Good stuff. James, speaking of Twitter, where can they find you if they want to chat with you during the week?
Yeah, at James Cush on Twitter.
Definitely go on at James Cush on Twitter. Tweet him a bunch this week. Call him a slacker for skipping out on me.
That's fine. That's fine. Bring it on, people.
Give him some crap. You can find me on Twitter at TSuperspeedway. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcasts on there, all kinds of other stuff that we do, including coverage from Michigan International Speedway this weekend. You can also find the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. If you'd like to become a patron and support the show, visit www.patreon.com/thesuperspeedway, and we'll hook you up. Anything else, James? I think we wrapped it up.
Got a
nice little package here. Put a little bow on it.
Yeah, we've got quite the balance today. We hit the yin and the yang of the podcast this week. That's good.
It was really nice of Brian France today because we recording on Monday. We've got both James and I have some stuff going on this week. So we're doing it 2 days early, depending on how you look at it. And it's like Monday, what are you going to talk about on Monday other than the race? I mean, obviously the race was big news and enough to talk about. What else is there to talk about? There's no news on Monday. Well, thanks to Brian France, we got it.
Well, and we don't even need to really thank Brian because there's no. I mean, we're going 45 no matter what. That's bare minimum,
right?
And we'll get it to an hour. We could have no race and we get this thing to an hour or two.
Yeah,
I have nothing but the utmost faith in us that we can talk about absolutely nothing.
Oh, we've got topics in the hopper. James and I had like a 20-minute post podcast last week.
Yep.
Because we
forgot the better show.
We forgot to mention during the podcast. We forgot to start talking about Tony Stewart and where he fits into the whole, hierarchy of greats in NASCAR. Yeah. So we're gonna put that one on the back burner. We're gonna talk about that on a off week because there's some good stuff there. And James, being the Tony Stewart fan that he is, has lots to say about it. And
I have a lot of good opinions on that.
I half agree with them. So
I'm going to keep teasing that the pre and the post race podcast or the pre and the post podcast is good.
I should start recording the post podcast too. I record the pre, but I don't record the post because I'm afraid of losing the whole podcast by accident. So as soon as I can click save, I do.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
I'm really a terrible podcaster in that you're supposed to have a backup. If my computer crashes, we're screwed because I do not have a backup. It is all recorded on a computer. And we've had that problem before. We've had to stop in the middle.
And some of the stuff that we've recorded after and before podcasts would probably get us in big trouble.
Yeah.
With certain people. So
yeah, right.
we want to keep it. We want to keep it good.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I don't know if your wife still listens to the podcast, James, but mine does. And so
Does she have any critiques for me? Okay, when you're listening to this, I'm speaking to her directly now. I'm going right past you. I need some critiques. Help me be better.
There you go. Hey, everybody, at James Cush on Twitter if you want to critique James and help him out.
Yeah, please do. Bring it. I'm all in. Not this week, though. I'm on vacation.
Yeah. No, this is the week you should do it. Critique the crap out of him.
Oh, very good.
All right. With that, we are going to Michigan International Speedway this weekend. James will be off next week, but we'll be here somehow, some way with the podcast. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.